What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hiphop Biographics. And on this channel, we cover hip-hop legends, figures, and forgotten moments in hip-hop. Today, we'll be discussing Suge Knight. Marion Hugh Knight Jr., better known as Suge Knight, was born April 19, 1965, to the parents of Maxine and Marion Knight in Compton, California. The Suge in his name came from his childhood nickname his father gave him of Sugar Bear. Suge attended Linwood High School in the nearby city of Linwood. In high school, Suge was the athletic star, playing on the football team and on the track team. In 1983, Suge graduated, began to attend El Camino College in Alondra Park, California for a couple of years before transferring to the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, where he won Rookie of the Year and also was on the Dean's List. After college, Suge would continue his football career when in 1987, he was invited to train with the Los Angeles Rams. Suge would get his opportunity to play in the highest level of football when in 1987, the NFL player strike began, where he was invited to play as a replacement player in 2 games for the Rams. After Suge's short stint in the NFL, he began to work as a concert promoter and a bodyguard for celebrities such as Mr. Prerogative himself, Bobby Brown. Suge would also use his time as a promoter and bodyguard to network and get his feet into the music industry. And in 1989, Suge started his own publishing company. But before he would start his own publishing business, Suge would be arrested in 1987 for grand theft auto, carrying a concealed weapon, and attempted murder, which he pled no contest in and was placed on probation. Also, in 1990, Suge would be charged with battery with a deadly weapon. 1990 would not just be a year filled with legal trouble. Suge's publishing business would begin to take off when the up-and-coming artist Robert Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice, would sample material from Suge's artist Marion Johnson. The infamous story around this situation was that Suge and Vanilla Ice were talking on a hotel balcony in Los Angeles, where Suge confronted him over unpaid royalties. In order to collect what was owed to him, Suge lifted Van Winkle off his feet and hung him over the balcony until he signed over royalties to him. But Vanilla Ice has went on many interviews to say this never happened, that in fact they had a friendly conversation that night. Suge would expand his publishing business into an artist management company where he signed West Coast artists DJ Quick and the DOC. After meeting DJ Quick and the DOC, they would introduce Suge to Dr. Dre, who is currently a member of the rap group NWA. After selling 6 million records and having the #1 album in the country, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were both short on cash. This prompted Ice Cube to quit after suspecting they weren't being paid what they were owed. Using the tension between the group and the record label, Suge somehow obtained a copy of Dr. Dre's contract and confirmed the suspicions of Ice Cube that they weren't being paid what they were owed. After this revelation, Suge Knight got Dr. Dre and other artists released from Ruthless Records. The alleged story surrounding the situation that Dr. Dre called Eazy-E to meet him in the studio. After arriving, Eazy-E didn't find Dr. Dre there, but instead he found Suge Knight, along with Suge with 2 of his henchmen who were armed with lead pipes and baseball bats. Eazy-E claimed he was threatened by Suge Knight and his henchmen to release Dr. Dre from his contract. Under pressure and fear from the notorious Suge Knight, Eazy-E felt as if he had no other choice but to sign the papers or face being assaulted. Regardless of whether these claims are true or false, Dr. Dre will be released from Ruthless Records and go on to start Death Row Records in 1991. With the start of Death Row Records, Suge and Dre will be on the quest to turn Death Row into the Motown of the 90s. Suge was in search of a major label to distribute Death Row music. After a year of searching, Suge would strike a $10 million deal with Interscope Records in 1992. Later that year, in 1992, Dr. Dre would release The Chronic, which went triple platinum, and Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, which went quadruple platinum in 1994. Also, in 1994, Death Row released the soundtrack to the film Above the Rim. Now, with widely success that Death Row was seeing, Suge saw the new talent, signing deals with artists such as Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. Knight was able to give artists double their royalties and back payments from previous record labels. In 1995, the rapper Tupac Shakur was in jail for a sexual assault case. With no other way of making bail and looking at 4 years in prison, Suge Knight stepped in and paid Tupac's bail. After being released from jail, Tupac signed with Death Row Records on September 16, 1995. After signing with Death Row, he would go on to release All Eyes on Me. But tragically, on September 7, 1996, barely on a year of signing with Death Row, Tupac would be dead from a shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada. As with this tragic situation, Suge would be sent to prison for 9 years for a probation violation. Suge would only serve 4 years of that sentence and be released in 2001. After being released, Suge will unfortunately be arrested again for parole violation in 2003. Suge will file for bankruptcy protection in 2006 after being sued by a record producer, and in 2008, he will ultimately sell Death Row Records. Suge will be facing more legal troubles while staying out of the spotlight after being released from prison until January 29, 2015. On the 29th of January, on the set of Straight Outta Compton, Suge will be involved in a hit and run, which resulted in the death of one and injuring another. The footage of this incident shows Suge Knight pulling up to a hamburger shop drive-thru. One of the victims approached Suge's vehicle. After approaching the vehicle, the man is seen having a discussion with Suge before a fight starts, with the man punching into Suge's vehicle. While the struggle is ensuing, Suge throws his vehicle into reverse, backing out of the situation, running over the victim's legs, then throwing his car into drive, proceeding forward into the next victim, killing him at the scene. Suge would turn himself in after this incident, but the case would go to trial, with Suge being found guilty and being sentenced to 28 years in prison. One of the biggest hip-hop moguls of the 90s, who was the executive producer of some of the greatest albums in hip-hop, now sits in prison at the age of 56 for the next 28 years of his life. He will be eligible for parole in 2037.